Alright, so here are two of the most affordable M.2 NVMe enclosures that support 40 gigabit per second USB 4.0 or Thunderbolt 4 speeds on Mac. One of them has a fan and the other one is fanless with this massive heatsink, which obviously affects how portable it can be. And this here is also one of the fastest M.2 NVMe SSDs, the Western Digital Black SN850X 2TB drive. And so in this video, we'll find out which enclosure is the fastest and which one I'll be returning. We'll also compare the NVMe to my Crucial X9 Pro, which has been my main workhorse until now, and also see how fast the NVMe is compared to the internal 512GB drive in my M4 Mac Mini. Hello everyone, it's Riej and welcome back to another video. Alright, so the fanless 40GB per second drive I have here is from Hagibis, and the one with the fan is from UGREEN. UGREEN I think has two designs of this enclosure, one being slightly bigger than the other, but they all come in at the same price on Amazon. So starting with the design and price, the UGREEN enclosure is very portable and significantly lighter than the Hagibis, and it comes with a silicone sleeve that will give it a bit of protection from accidental drops. The Hagibis fanless enclosure on the other hand is quite bulky with this massive heatsink, and although you still be able to travel with it, I think it's meant for desktop setups like the M4 Mac Mini. They both come with a short USB 4 cable, and according to my test, both cables perform the same. The Hagibis cable though has a tiny LCD screen that can display the voltage and wattage used, but in my opinion it's not very useful, especially considering how thick it makes the plug, making it unusable with the M4 Mac Mini if you have your other Thunderbolt 4 ports in use. And this enclosure also seems to come in quite a few brand names, and according to my research they are all essentially the same with the same chip but different labels. The cable issue however is just with Hagibis because the Qwiizlab and the other ones I found came with normal looking USB 4 cables, so I'd actually recommend the Qwiizlab, and the Qwiizlab is $89.99 US on Amazon. I'll also leave links to the cheapest prices I find down in the description, so be sure to check to find out. Opening and installing the drives on both enclosures was pretty straightforward, and they both provide the tools for that. Alright, so onto the test. I used the same M.2 NVMe with both enclosures formatted to APFS since I'm using a Mac. The cable used was also the same UGREEN Thunderbolt 4 cable I purchased separately to even things out. Alright, so the first test was the usual synthetic speed test with the Blackmagic The Speed Test app. The speed test just shows you the fastest speeds you can expect to see, but doesn't tell you much about real world use. So I first ran this test on my M4 Mac Mini's 256GB internal drive, and then on the SN850X in both enclosures. I also ran the test on my Crucial X9 Pro just to show you how much more speed you gain by switching from a regular external SSD like the Crucial X9 Pro and the Samsung T9 to NVMe's in enclosures. And with that, my M4 Mac Mini averaged about 3036 megabit per second write and about 3021 megabit per second read. The Hagibis fanless enclosures was about 3147 megabit per second write and 3112 megabit per second read. And the UGREEN fan enclosure came in about 3170 megabit per second write and 3111 megabit per second read, while the Crucial X9 Pro averaged about 910 and 896 megabit per second write and read respectively. I knew before going in that the NVMe would be much faster than my Crucial X9 Pro, but I was genuinely surprised how fast the NVMe in these enclosures were. Both enclosures perform similarly with minor differences that I thought wouldn't mean much in real world use, but you'll see more about that later in the video. Either way, they both came in a touch faster than my M4 Mac Mini's internal drive though, which is insane for an external drive. One thing to note however is that the UGREEN enclosure's fan was always on and got really loud even with light use. That is loud. That is way too loud. If I'm doing like a recording or something, that's just unacceptable. It's louder than my Mac Mini. That's way too loud. I'm sure you'll agree that that's not ideal if you record audio or videos. Next, I exported my Xiaomi SmartBand 9 review video, which if you haven't seen, I'll link in the cards, which is a 7.5 minute edited video with effects and a full color grade in Final Cut Pro, and I exported it in 4K ProRes 422 to see how long it takes with both enclosures. And with that, the fanless enclosure exported the video in 2 minutes and 2 seconds, while the UGREEN enclosure with the fan exported the same video in 1 minute and 26 seconds, albeit the fan was very loud. So I guess with this result, you can say that the fan helps quite a bit when it comes to sustained real world use. The next test I performed was transferring this 29 gigabit exported video file from my Mac Mini's internal drive to the NVMe. And that took 9 seconds on the FANLESS enclosure and 9 seconds as well on the UGREEN enclosure with the fan, but the UGREEN enclosure was microseconds faster. And to give you a picture of how incredible that is, that same file took 30 seconds to transfer to my Crucial X9 Pro and 10 seconds to transfer from the NVMe to my M4 Mac Mini. That goes to show you how fast these drives are, and I know that 9 seconds and 30 seconds might not seem like much, but think of how much time it can save you if you transfer really large files. Alright, so now let me tell you about some of the pretty minor issues I've had with both of these enclosures and which one I kept. Starting with the UGREEN enclosure with the fan, I record videos and do voiceover for these videos almost on a daily basis, so that fan was way too loud. Which is why I have already returned the UGREEN enclosure and received a full refund. It was very solid though, and very portable, and technically also the fastest enclosure. I'll definitely consider it in the future when I'm in the market for a portable enclosure for travel, and so don't care about the fan noise. So yeah, for my workflow, a silent enclosure suits me best, even though it comes with a few drawbacks. First off, yes, you can travel with it, but I'm never gonna do that. The Crucial X9 Pro is more than perfect and very tiny for the light work that I'll do while on the go. But by far, the biggest drawback for me though with the Hagibis enclosure is the size and weight. You see, I have an almost clutter-free desk setup where everything that doesn't need to be on the desk gets mounted under the desk. And when I was using the Crucial as my main drive, it was so lightweight and tiny that I just had it velcroed under my desk. But you definitely won't be able to do that with this enclosure. I wouldn't even trust double-sided adhesives to hold it safely, so I had to make this contraption out of Pepsi cans to secure it under my desk. So keep that in mind if you do go for the fanless option. Other than that, an unusable USB 4 cable with the M4 Mac Mini that Hagibis sent with it, it works great. It does warm up quite a bit though. And when I occasionally feel it to see how hot it is, it's almost always warm to the touch, but never too hot that you couldn't touch it. Alright, so in conclusion, if you just want a fast, small, lighter weight and portable enclosure for your M.2 NVMe and you don't care about fan noise, go with a fanned one like this UGREEN. It's potentially gonna be faster. But if you have a desktop solution like the M4 Mac Mini or a Mac Studio and need a budget enclosure that is just as fast and makes no noise, I can't recommend this Hagibis one enough. Or even the Qwiizlab, because Reddit says it's quite good. And obviously, I'll leave links to all of them down in the description to make life easy for you. And if you found this video helpful, check out my M4 Mac Mini video right here. Unless you prefer this one. Thanks a lot for watching, and until next time, peace.